We are live.
Okay, I'm gonna start the recording. The timer. You guys do a timer. Hey Google, set a timer for 60 minutes.
Okay, wow, 1 hour. And that's starting now.
Well, I helped Cassie.
That's why I didn't do mine because I was like, you know what? It'll
Okay,
go on when Keith.
did everybody else start their timers?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, everyone, all of the puppets awaken in their beds. Nice, cozy beds. To the sound of clanking and a muffled voice from outside the house. Obviously, there's some kind of commotion taking place. Whatever that commotion is, none of the puppets are sure. But boy, are they curious. So tell me, puppet friends, what would you like to do?
I will look out my I shall look out my window to see what is going on.
What about the rest of you, puppet friends?
Cleaver decides that he's going to wake up slowly and try and look over and discern what exactly is happening.
Okay?
I'm going to listen very closely to see if I can figure out what's making the clanking sound.
I just roll on over.
Okay. So, as most of you seem to, as most of the puppets seem to be intrigued as to the sound. So the ones that took a gander outside, you can't make out exactly what's happening. There's a large crowd. But it seems like some kind of public display is about to occur. But exactly what that public display is, you're not sure.
Well, then I shall go for a closer look.
So, are you going to exit your home?
Yes.
Okay, you're going to exit your home. What about the rest of you puppet friends?
Cleaver decides he's going to follow his shadow puppet friend, fellow shadow puppet.
I will if everybody else is going outside and I follow.
Okay,
I'm going to follow the others.
I too shall exit my domain. However, I will keep to the rooftops and the shadows just in case there's something looming.
okay, I like it.
I'm going to hop along and follow.
Are you following on? You're following on the ground with the rest of them, minus the crazy assassin puppet.
Yeah.
Okay. So, as the puppets kind of begin to walk through the crowd, they can't spot anything yet, but the one who climbed the roof can. And he sees 4 nutcrackers, and they're forming a rectangle. And there's a puppet in the middle, and he's on his knees, his hands and knees, and he wears a beautiful blue garment, has a little jester's hat, and big blue buttons on his shirt. And you then can see a much larger puppet step forward. And you can tell that there is something bad is about to occur. By this time, the puppets who are walking through the crowd can see this as well. And the voice speaks out in a very growly and kind of what could, I guess, be determined as maybe mangy. For those who tried to escape, I would like this to be a lesson to every one of you. For if you defy punch, you will die. And the much larger puppet is dressed in a red and blue. One half is red, one half is blue. Jester's outfit with a jester's hat with a little jingling bell on top, the very tip. The puppet's face is covered in flesh. And there's a little bit of blood that's all over his puppet, his jester's outfit. And he holds a big wielding hammer. Behind him, 3 flesh puppets. That's all they are, naked flesh puppets. Big and scary. And on the ground, the little puppet dressed in blue, he begs and cries for help. Please, please don't leave me. Please, someone help. And he reaches out a tiny puppet hand for someone to help him. And all of you recognize this as the puppet that was crunched by the Nutcracker only yesterday. You know him as Billy Blue Buttons. And he's begging for help. What will my puppet friends do?
I would like to see how many people, how many fellow puppets are gathered here at this gathering, and to take stock of my surroundings.
As you look around, as far as like the citizens of Puppet Town, there seems to be a few hundred gathered around in like a circular formation. And Billy Blue Buttons, the 4 Nutcrackers, the Punch, and Punch's 3 of Punch's boys are in the middle. And all of the citizens are absolutely terrified. Terrified.
I wish to. Oh, go.
No, go ahead.
As I'm on the rooftops looking down and seeing this sight and recognizing this puppet that I unfortunately was so close to when the last incident occurred, I don't want to leave him there for such to happen again. So I shout down to my friends, "Cover me! I'm going to help." And I choose to leap off the roof in a bowling ball type of fashion to try and tackle one of the Nutcrackers forming the square to give an out for our friend if I'm able to knock them over.
Okay. What do your puppet friends give you that cover?
Because I am able to throw my voice, I shall throw my voice towards one of the flesh puppets, and I shall say in a mocking tone, "Hit me first! Hit me first, you big dummy! Hit me first!"
Okay, is anyone else going to attempt to do anything?
Cleaver is going to attempt to use this moment of distraction to try and study the shadows of the closest Nutcracker, as his previous experiment bore fruit. So he's going to try and study the shadows to see if it'll work again in his favor like it did before.
Okay, I like it. Anyone else? Okay. As the shadows have been studied. It would seem that due to the fact that they're not near any buildings where the shadows would line up with their physical bodies, that this probably wouldn't have the same effect. But you don't know for sure. That's just what it seems like. As the voice is thrown, the nutcrackers begin looking around, almost in a frenzy, because they remember that voice from yesterday. But the boys in back, they seem very, very steady. And one of them says, "Pipe down! It's all a ruse." And the
I
nutcrackers,
shall throw my voice again, like, pipe down yourself, you big dummy!
the puppet made of flesh, kind of growls. And the nutcrackers listen, for they cannot disobey Punch. And as the heroic puppet leaps off of the building and collides with a nutcracker, causes one nutcracker to stumble back and fall into another, as two nutcrackers have fallen to the ground. There are still two on the opposite side, and Punch is in the behind them, and then you got the three flesh puppets behind them in a line. And immediately the other two nutcrackers begin to come for our heroic puppet. And Punch can be heard screaming, "Get that mangy puppet!" What will you do, heroic puppet?
As the command was shouted out for them to come my way, I have faith in my companions that they will back me up, that they will be there to assist me. But the goal for now is to ensure the safety of our friend who couldn't quite make it the day before. It was due to my own fault, I feel, that he couldn't make it, and I will not let that fault slip through my hands again.
Okay. So, what shall you do?
I, with faith in my partners, that they will be able to back me up, that they have something plotting, I am going to stand there almost as if a shield to protect Billy Blue Buttons so that he may get away, no matter what damage I may sustain, in the meantime waiting on our friends to help.
Okay.
I shall throw my voice behind the flesh puppets with a mocking laughter. Nice one, boss! Maybe you should turn around, you big dummy!
Look, I have to wear a jacket.
So the nutcrackers, they fall for it. They turn around. "We'll get you, mangy puppet." And the nutcrackers begin barreling towards the back through the crowd, shoving and pushing over other puppets in their way. Puppets are crying, some screaming, but Punch doesn't waver. And neither do the boys made of flesh. Punch extends his hammer out towards the heroic puppet, and he orders his boy, "Get him." And Punch's boys slowly begin to make their way over to the heroic puppet. Billy Blue Buttons quickly scampers to his feet, and he takes off running, and he grabs the hand of the heroic puppet as if to pull the heroic puppet away. He says, "Come on, we gotta hurry. We could possibly still make it out to the Candy Caves. Let's go." But Billy Blue Buttons is much too small and weak to pull the larger puppet. What will you do, heroic puppet, and what will your friends do?
I will look at Billy Blue Buttons and I will tell him, "You go. I'll let you suffer before. I will not let you suffer the same fate again. I can stand my ground. I have friends. I have options. You, my friend, must go to safety. I shall see you there."
Billy Blue Buttons has what looks to be a tear well up in his eye. And he says, I will not forget this. And he turns and begins to dart off. And said, "Oh, go ahead."
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Several other puppets from the crowd begin to follow suit with Billy Blue Buttons. By this time now, it's a little bit of pandemonium. And Punch holds his hand and he screams, "Get them nutcrackers!" And brings the hammer down and hits the ground with authority and anger. 3 flesh puppets are making their way even closer to you, heroic puppet.
I would like to try something. As I can throw my voice, I can also entertain other puppets through performance art. So through this, I will attempt to mock and mimic Punch's voice and throw my voice and shout, "No, you idiots! The other way! The other way!" to try and confuse them.
And confuse them you do. They're looking around, and they're not really sure which Punch, per se, is real. This seems like a great opportunity for the heroic puppet, as well as his friends, to make a getaway. But what will the other puppets do?
Seeing as my gambit appears to be working, I shall motion to my friends that we should make haste towards the Candy Caves and take advantage of this pandemonium and this confusion to slip away.
Why must we play hero? I yell. I grab up the puppet with no legs and I help the blonde puppet try to get away.
Okay. And so far, successful you are. What about the rest of our puppet friends?
Now,
I'm spitting out.
now, the heroic puppet called for assistance.
That
Cleaver's
he did.
name is not Edward, but he will certainly assist when he can. But right now, he is sticking to the shadows. Now, he is not invisible to more than one puppet, only to one. But no one is looking for him right now. So he's going to stay to the shadows in amongst the confusion, waiting for a time to either strike or get away, whichever comes first.
Well, based on the situation, it would seem that getting away would be the most opportune thing to do at the moment. But it all comes down to what Cleaver would like to do.
Cleaver is going to get away with his friends while sticking to the shadows as close as he can. The shadows are his home.
Okay. So now most of the puppets have begun to flee, running in all different directions. Punch seems to be absolutely thrilled at the fear that he has created. But one still stands near Punch, and that would be the heroic puppet. What will you do, heroic puppet?
I looked around my surroundings and I noticed that most of my friends have chose to use the opportunity that Marty created for us to get away. And what I sought out to do to save Billy, I did accomplish. And with that said, I too choose to make haste and get away. And as I'm running away, I look towards the rooftops where I excel at my best to get away.
Okay. As you run with decent speed, you're able to get on the roofs. You cannot currently see your friends, for there are a lot of puppets that have fled. But you do remember the way you were headed yesterday to the Candy Caves. And you are almost certain that that's where you and your friends should probably go. For that is the way to get out of Puppet Town. So what will my puppet friends do?
The the Candy Caves. That's where I shall go.
I shall go wherever the puppet friend carrying me goes.
I head to the candy caves.
Okay.
Cleaver is also going to make his way to the candy caves.
Everyone going for the Candy Caves then?
Yes,
Yep.
I am heading that direction.
Even though the puppets are split up, they all have one common goal in mind. Even though they're heading different directions, those directions all lead to one place. So, as our blind puppet and our one without legs and the one carrying them are together, they stop in an alley and they see two nutcrackers patrolling the area, much more serious and angry than last time. They have not spotted you, but they are coming your way, their shadows growing and getting larger as they get closer. What will you do, puppets?
You have got to be kidding me, I whisper.
And is Marty with them?
Marty is not with them.
Okay.
I whisper to the puppet with no legs. Do you think you can find a way out of here?
That'd be you. That'd be you, Cassie.
Did you like that, Peppa?
We might have lost Cassie.
I'd have.
Yeah, she's been silent the whole time so far.
Okay, well, I'll just go ahead and play her character till she comes back. She says, I do think I could. Yes, there are many small places. I could definitely look around if you would like.
I make you feel sure I don't leave her.
Okay. I sit her down And then I turn to the blonde puppet. And you hide.
All right.
Okay. So I will kind of do a small recap. Logan had placed Cassie's puppet down and asked if she could find an area to help get away. And that's where I stopped it. I went ahead and answered for your puppet, Cassie, because you were having fun problems.
Oh, that's fine. I don't mind that at all.
And so he had set you down. So, okay. So the little puppet scampers off, looking for various holes or ways to escape the nutcrackers. But the nutcrackers are looming closer. What will you do, blind puppet? If you remember, you were asked a question.
I am going to. I'm going to follow my fellow puppet and hopefully we can find a way.
Is she hard to hear for you guys?
Yeah.
Yes.
Little
Am
muffled.
That
I?
was a little hard, yeah.
It sounds like your microphone is really close.
It's not. I don't know why.
Okay, that's better. I don't know what happened, but that's better.
Yeah.
I'm going to listen, see if I can hear anything close to us. Otherwise, I'm going to defer to my fellow puppet and hope for the best.
Okay. So as you listen closely, you can hear the puppets, the nutcrackers, I mean, talking. Those mangy puppets, we're gonna find them and we're gonna chomp them in our cackling jaws. And then the other nutcracker. Oh, I can't wait. I'm so tired of them, especially after yesterday. They deserve what they get. And the shadows are growing, getting larger, and they're almost here. What will you two puppets do? That'd be Logan and Xander, by the way.
You need to hide, I whisper to the blonde puppet.
Is there anywhere to hide? I can't see. You're going to have to help me, please.
Is there anywhere to hide?
As the puppets look for a place to hide. Off to their right, there is a small little alley that separates two buildings that they could hide behind, and the nutcrackers would never see them.
I guide the blonde puppet to that alley and we hide.
You manage to dart into the alley as the nutcrackers are walking by, but they don't see you. And they just keep going on their merry way. Marty, you see Nutcracker heading in your direction from far away. He does not seem like he has noticed you yet. What would you do?
How far does he appear to be away? Far away, you say?
Far away. That probably, 70 yards.
Do I believe that would be enough distance to make my way across safely before I am spotted? It is only one, yes?
There is only one. If
Well
you
then, since I am able to become invisible from one other puppet if I am careful and cautious by keeping my skinny edge towards the puppet at all times, I shall do so to pass unseen.
And unseen you are. You manage to keep your skinny edge towards the Nutcracker the whole time. Never once spots you. Now you're behind him. What are you going to do, Marty?
Assuming it would not get his attention, I shall continue to make my way towards the Candy Caves.
You continue to proceed through Puppet Town. You're about in the middle of Puppet Town, a little further out. The middle. Our heroic puppet, as well as Cleaver. You've taken to the roofs, heroic puppet. You've managed to go to and fro. Not many Nutcrackers really seem to pay attention to the roofs, so you've had a much easier time than most. Up from the roofs, you can see across town. You can see two wooden doors open, and there's a sign on that says to the Candy Caves, and there's an arrow that points as if to go through those doors. Now, Cleaver cannot see this, but you can. So what will the two of you do?
As I see from the rooftops and I read the sign towards our destination, I look down towards the shadows where I would believe Cleaver to be, and I quickly whisper to grab his attention. Cleaver, are you there?
Cleaver, while he does stick to the shadows, he does have something noticeable about his axe, which is that it does glint in the shadows. So when you say that, the glint seems to move.
As I see that glint move, I take that as noting that sign that he is there with me, and I point ahead. Cleaver, the Candy Caves are just ahead. I see the sign. We must make haste.
When the heroic puppet points, he will notice that the glint seems to stop and be also pointed in that same direction, and then Cleaver emerges from the shadows to head in the direction that he points.
I will continue along with Cleaver, sticking to the rooftops as much as I can, and into the grass and the trees to where I cannot, as staying out of sight is where it is my specialty, my trait, if you will, should any danger arise.
So you stick to the roofs and the trees and other various high top in order to keep as stealthy as possible. Cleaver, you proceed forward. And as you come barreling out of an alley, you stop and notice that two Nutcrackers are headed your way, but they have not spotted you. What will you do, Cleaver?
Cleaver is going to sneak, still in the direction of the Candy Caves, trying to stick to the shadows. Since they have not seen him, he's going to continue in a way like away from where they're looking.
You would have to pull back into the alley for that to happen, Cleaver.
Cleaver is going to do such to see if they'll pass, especially if he notices that they're coming towards him, but they don't see him. So he's going to judge when and where to hide, and also think about how they're moving, the pace that they're moving, so he knows when to come right behind them, and, and sneak away.
As Cleaver takes to the shadows, the nutcrackers walk, and one of them stops. And he turns in Cleaver's direction. And he looks at the other nutcracker. He goes, "That glint ever been there before?" And the nutcrackers begin to walk towards Cleaver's direction. What will the puppets do?
The glint
I wish
does
to
not
look
move.
over. Okay.
The glint does not move.
Yes, that's all. Yeah, go ahead.
And as I see them approaching from the rooftops, I'm looking around for anything heavy enough to make a noise if thrown, that perhaps the wind had blown up there, to throw behind them to cause to cause them to continue back on their original trajectory.
Unfortunately, on the roof, there's just not anything there that would be capable of doing that. The roof is clean.
Okay. Okay. Well then, with the roofs being clean, however, as my name implies, I can leap from higher bounds and land without harm. And so I come down from my height, still though behind them, and not, I mean, obviously behind them in and out of mind and out of sight. And once again, I'm looking for anything to help cause distraction.
As far as anything of use to cause distraction, unfortunately, there's not much. But you do remember that you are heavy enough that you probably could jump down off of the roof onto the nutters and drop both of them as they are standing next to one another. This would give you, as well as Cleaver, a pretty good moment of time in order to get away, should you decide to do that. But what will you do?
It was almost as if a light bulb went off on my head as I realized I was indeed quite heavy. But for my strength had not made me even realize how heavy I might be compared to others.
Indeed.
And so I used that strength to quickly make my way back up and over that direction, and a leap I shall once again make, but on top of the nutcrackers instead of the ground.
As the heroic puppet leaps off, slowly bringing his arms out at his sides, lands on the back of the nutcrackers. They fall to their stomachs face first. Mangy puppets! What will you do, Cleaver? The nutcrackers are down. What will Cleaver and you, heroic puppet, do?
If Cleaver can see the shadows of just the two puppets and has the ability, he is going to keep up to his name and try and cleave their shadows.
So their shadows do seem to line up on the ground. And Cleaver has a pretty good feeling something good will happen. But this is only if the heroic puppet notices, for if he does not, Cleaver just might cleave him too.
And with the sneak attack, I do not wish to stick around and celebrate, for it is only to cause enough of a lapse of time on their end for us to get away. So with that land and knocking them over, I do not waste opportunity And I get up and I'm quickly back heading towards my rooftops, motioning for Cleaver that we must go.
To the rooftops goes, but you see that while you want to cleave, you see that your friend has requested that you leave. And so it seems to be a moral conundrum, Cleaver. Do you live up to your name? Or do you proceed forward along with your friend? What kind of decision will you make, Cleaver?
Cleaver leave. Cleaver leave. It is so
Cleaver leave?
hard.
Leave it to Cleaver.
Leave it to Cleaver. Cleaver decides that, yes, they can get away, but they would have an easier time getting away if the Nutcrackers were no more. He is going to try and make a sweeping motion towards their shadows and make it off with their heads. He is choosing to cleave, for that is his name, Cleaver.
And off with their heads it is. The Nutcrackers no more, for their heads are... The heroic puppet has already proceeded forwards, as has his friends. It is about this time when two more Nutcrackers, as well as a big flesh puppet, see Cleaver. And the big flesh puppet says, "Get him, boys."
Now
Nut-
it is time for Cleaver to leave.
Now it is time for Cleaver to leave. As Cleaver turns to run, unfortunately, Cleaver knows now, by the fact that there are more Nutcrackers coming from different sides, that valuable time was what he needed to get away. But instead he chose to cleave and not leave. As all of the other puppets made it closer to Candy Cave, only one can see that there is trouble. And that is the one on the roof, the heroic puppet, who sees that Cleaver is heavily outnumbered. Two puppets behind him, two puppets in front of him, as well as a big flesh puppet. I meant Nutcrackers. And then the big flesh puppet. What will you do, heroic puppet? You're the only one that sees this. Do you
As I know that we were all heading towards the Candy Caves, I wanted to take a just. I started to head back towards Cleaver because it is not in my nature to leave someone in danger behind, regardless of how powerful or stubborn-headed they may appear to be. I will not leave them behind. However, upon my venture back in that direction, as I had moved forward a little bit, am I able to see any of our allies from previous?
Fortunately, no. Seems they have all gone different directions.
And thus was to be expected. And since I have the stealthy approach and I have the ability to grab, throw, and hit things, I'm once again going to make my leap from the top down to down on top of the Nutcrackers. And if I'm recalling correctly, it was just two Nutcrackers behind and two and a puppet in front. Am I correct in that?
So there are two Nutcrackers in the alley, which is where he needs to go to get away. And then where he came from, there are 2 nutcrackers and one of Punch's boys, made of flesh. Now, the 2 nutcrackers in the alley are distanced apart enough to where you could jump and hit one, but you could not hit 2.
Okay. And so I am making my way towards the alley for Cleaver to make a swift escape. However, before I make my leap of faith, is it possible that when I make this leap of faith and I do land upon one, am I able to make a swift attack, I wondered, and grab an object from around me to take out the legs of the other?
What traits does thy puppet have in order to make that happen?
And where would I be able to find my traits for such a move?
So what can the puppet do?
Oh, indeed. So what can I do is that I am able to throw, grab, and hit things. And I can dodge them if I see them coming as soon, or, yes, if I can throw things towards my direction, I can dodge them if I'm able to see them coming.
Okay. So, as the heroic puppet jumps down and lands on one puppet, causing him to fall face first to the ground once more. It just so happens to be a small rock on the ground that the puppet picks up and throws, and it smashes the nutcracker right in the jaw. And he lets out a scream. He doesn't fall, but he stumbles. This could very much be an opening that Cleaver and the heroic puppet need to get away. Or they could stay and test their luck. What will they do?
Cleaver has cleaved, so he is satisfied and he is going to attempt to leave.
And time is very much of the essence, as I noted to myself. Cleaver was not close enough to me quite yet for me to speak that to him, though he should be aware. And because time is of the essence, as much as I would love to continue to do as my name says, and leap more, and land on top of more puppets, for it is quite fun, I do believe that leaving is the best bet.
And so all of the puppets safely come together in front of the doors, the wooden gates, the sign that reads, "To the Candy Caves," and has an arrow. And they proceed through those open gates, safely making it. And thus, we will find out what happens in our puppets' next adventure, for they have succeeded on this day. You can stop the recording, Jack.